Jon Gosselin was shocked by how lucky he was. After being blessed with twins and then sextuplets, the fame came quickly and loud. When it began, the goal was to have a big, happy family, but it quickly turned into something else. After a public and messy split from his ex-wife, Jon's relationships have been very rough. His life has not been quiet at all. Right now everyone is talking about Jon Gosselin all of a sudden. Will he finally find peace, or is this the end of his life? Let's make it all public. His early life and rise to fame. Jon Gosselin was just a guy from Wyoming, Pennsylvania, before he became famous, got caught on TV, and caused a lot of trouble in public. Family life was pretty normal for him. His mom, Pamela, and dad, who died in 2005, raised him. Jon didn't seem to rush to fame after high school. In the hot Pennsylvania sun, he put up solar panels, worked long shifts at restaurants in the area, and even prepared food at TGI Fridays in Lancaster, giving his small wages to charity. It was easy, quiet, and not at all like reality TV. Jon would go from flipping burgers to freaking out on national TV in just a few short years, which made everyone talk about him. In the fall of 1997, it all began at a work picnic. Most people will forget this day, but Jon Gosselin will not. It was there that he met Kate Kreider. She wasn't afraid to say what she thought and was focused. Jon, who is more shy and quiet, was taken off guard but quickly became interested. They got married in 1999. Carrara and me, twins, came soon after. That would be enough for many. But Kate wasn't ready to give up. Jon wasn't sure if he wanted to have more children, but Kate, who is always determined, went ahead. They didn't just get one more child either. They had 6 babies on May 10, 2004. Their world blew up overnight. There are 8 kids, diapers, bottles, and chaos everywhere. People looked at each other in the grocery store aisles. As they left the parking lots, whispers followed them. Whisper that starts out small but quickly spreads. This family looked like it came straight out of a tale. But there was more and more stress inside the house. It wasn't just the numbers that made people notice. They saw them because they felt too big, too wild, and too close to the edge to not notice. Not long after, their story was all over the news. People got attention not because they wanted it, but because their life was so interesting. The Gosselin family wasn't just busy. It pulled you in. Local news stations were full. Every move they made was caught on camera, and soon Discovery Health showed up. Surviving Sextuplets and Twins aired a year after the sextuplets were born, giving fans an honest look at a life that most people couldn't imagine. The crowd was hooked. There were a lot of people who watched the show, and it got even more attention a year later. It didn't take long for TLC to see the potential and make their chaos a weekly event, but it wasn't until April 2007, when they got their own show called Jon and Kate Plus 8, that they became very famous. It became one of the most popular shows on TLC. At its peak, 9.8 million people watched the Season 5 opening, more than any other show that night. The US couldn't get enough. They were more than just watching. They were interested. People all over the world knew the Gosselins. You could see them in magazines and on morning shows. They even got their story published with Beth Carson's help. Jon and Kate wrote a book called Multiple Blessings, Surviving to Thriving with Twins and Sextuplets. It went straight to the top of the New York Times bestseller list. It looked like everything had worked out on paper, but behind the scenes, cracks were getting bigger while everyone watched in awe. As the show got bigger and the cameras got closer, the stress level rose. No one saw how quickly everything would fall apart coming. So, what went wrong with the smiles and matched clothes? And how did it turn into one of the most memorable disasters in reality TV history? Let us look the messy breakup story from Kate Kreider that Jon Gosselin wrote. Everyone was shocked when the news came out on the June 22, 2009, episode of Jon and Kate plus 8. After being together for almost 10 years, Jon and Kate Gosselin were splitting up, and the divorce process had started. As soon as the public blow hit, Jon was apparently looking for a new apartment on Manhattan's Upper West Side. He even toured units at the Trump Place, which is owned by Donald Trump. It was 10 years ago today that Jon Gosselin said he never wanted his marriage to end in public. In a last-ditch effort to slow down the divorce, he asked the court to delay the proceedings for 90 days, thinking that this would give them time to think about things again. In a rare moment of public sadness, he said, "I'm sorry for how I've behaved since Kate and I broke up. It was bad of me to hang out with other women in public so soon," she said. At the same time, he was facing a $22,000 a month child support order, which made things even worse between them. Kate, on the other hand, made it clear that this wasn't about going out in public. From her end, the harm was already done. In her own statement, she said that Jon's actions were the last straw that made her feel like she had to go to court to protect herself and their 8 children. It was clear that the wording was cold, formal, and determined. The newspapers roared to life in the background. The rumors spread like wildfire, and all of a sudden, Jon Gosselin's name was related to Haley Glassman, a 22-year-old whose fame went beyond the news. The doctor who did Kate's facial surgery's daughter. It was too juicy, too ironic, and just plain shocking to ignore the link. Glassman said that they didn't start dating until after the marriage ended. It didn't matter anymore, though. The people had already chosen their parts. In the eyes of the court, Jon was the bad guy, but the story wasn't over yet. In the late summer of 2009, cops were called to the Wernersville, Pennsylvania, home of the Gosselins after a heated argument about Jon's choice of babysitter. Even though no one was arrested and no charges were brought, the sight of police outside the once perfect family home was enough to shake the public's already shaky story. The brand that looked great had broken. It was falling apart now. Jon wasn't just mad at his ex-wife either. It was the company that had made the Gosselins famous that caught his attention. He sued TLC, the network behind Jon and Kate plus 8, saying they broke child labor laws and said they would call production crews criminal trespassers if they tried to go back to the family home as part of his plan to buy Time and Salvage's divorce. 3 weeks later, the last episode of the old show aired. TLC didn't run away. Their name changed. The show came back with a new name, Kate plus 8. Jon stopped showing up regularly and then stopped showing up at all. People still watched the family story, but it wasn't the same show or the same family that people loved. The network picked a side. The crowd had too. Also, TLC wasn't going to let Jon Gosselin change the story without a fight. Because the network saw through his publicity stunts, they filed a countersuit, saying he breached his contract by appearing on shows that were not allowed and were not under their control. Not only were they angry, they were also suing for more than $30,000 in damages. Jay's lawyers fought back hard, saying the contract wasn't valid. They said that the name change to Kate plus 8 had completely changed the game, and Jon hadn't even had a lawyer with him when he signed the first deal. He thought he could get back his image, his place in the spotlight, or his wife, but it was all gone. On December 18, 2009, the divorce was completed, and Jon Gosselin could no longer put it off. Kate got sole care of all 8 children and full ownership of the family home in Wernersville. It hit Jon twice. In the same month, his lover Haley Glassman broke up with him, saying she found out he had been cheating on her again. This time, it was with Kate Major, a writer for a tabloid. But the trouble didn't end with the messy split. The strain finally broke out in public on August 22, 2017. At an orthodontist's office, a fight broke out over Hannah, 13, and the cops were called. No one was arrested, but it was clear what would happen. Jon took Hannah home, and Kate was told to talk to the district attorney about their custody deal. After a few months, Jon was given full custody of Hannah. Kate's plea didn't work. It was thrown out because it didn't belong in that court. After almost a year, Jon was back in court. This time they were fighting for Colin, who had been in a treatment center for 2 years. He seemed to be fighting for the last bits of what used to be his family. Kate didn't show up to court, so Jon was given full legal and physical control. Colin got home just in time for Christmas. After that, the ex-couples only talked to each other through lawyers. They were no longer co-parenting at all, just when it looked like things couldn't get worse. After the divorce, money troubles showed up. Official records showed that Jon said Kate took $100,000 from Colin and Hannah's trust accounts to stay alive. Kate replied that the money had been used for important things like school and living costs. People were surprised by the timing, though, since she had just bought a $750,000 lakefront home and was allegedly making $40,000 an episode for her dating show spin-off Kate Plus dates. Jon said what she did was disgusting and that she didn't feel bad about taking their children, whom they had told the world they would love. Kate and Jon Gosselin had a family that lived in different states and fought in court. Did they ever find their way back? They did it even for their kids' sake. What's with all the talk about Jon again? Jon Gosselin filed for divorce. After they broke up for good, Jon Gosselin talked about his relationship with his ex-wife Kate in an interview that felt more like an accounting than a review. He shed light on their current, expected dynamic. The truth was told by Jon to E! News in a direct way that didn't need any extra drama to hit you right in the gut. Asked how often he talked to Kate. He didn't move. He said it straight out. "We don't talk." I believe the most recent time I heard her voice in person was in 2018. There were no texts, calls, or fake attempts to co-parent for 6 years. There was only court papers and legal motions to break the silence. The last time they were in the same room for a reason was when they were fighting over Colin, one of their 8 children, whose life had slowly become different from the carefully edited on-screen story of the family. Colin said that Kate had abused him verbally and emotionally, which Kate strongly rejected right away. But in the end, the court ruled in favor of Jon and gave him custody, which caused yet another media firestorm. For most people, losing a marriage, a home, or the chance to be with their children every day might have left lasting scars. But Jon seemed to be able to handle things surprisingly well. He found peace in the chaos and stayed strong when it mattered. In 2024, Jon had grown up and moved on to a new life. There were no longer any network cameras in his life, and he was in a relationship that felt surprisingly normal. Liz Janetta was her name. She was 27 years old and a mother of 3. They met at a restaurant in the Philadelphia area, which was a long way from the reality TV that used to rule Jay's life. People quickly thought Liz looked a lot like Kate, which neither she nor Jon liked because they thought it was an insult. Even though rumors were going around, Jon didn't seem to care. He may have learned the hard way how to ignore the noise and keep going. She hadn't seen Jon and Kate +8 before, but she only knew what the press told her. Jon was a mess who went on a lot of dates and tried to get famous. Instead, she found something she didn't expect. In the end, she said, he was warm. Also funny. Not at all what I thought. Maybe the fact that they were not in the news at the same time helped their friendship. This was probably because Jon was able to meet her with no problems and just be himself. For a man whose private life had been open to the public, he had come out of it grounded. Hurt, yes, but not broken. When Jon met Liz, she wasn't just a new girl. She showed that you could start over, that you could still find something close to peace even after the messiest falling apart you could imagine, with split custody, legal battles, and estrangement. He wasn't someone's ex-husband, or the guy who lost it all on national TV for the first time in a long time. He was just Jon. He got there faster than anyone thought he would. Jon Gosselin started the quiet, hard work of rebuilding his life and finding joy again after the chaos and end of his public marriage. At first it looked like he had found it with Liz Janetta, as he watched the two of them walk through the streets of Philadelphia arm in arm. Jon, who was calm and smiling, didn't look like the man who used to be known for his meltdowns in the tabloids and his custody cases. He had 8 kids of his own, and Liz had 3. They made fun of the chaos by laughing about bedtime practices and the daily chaos of homework. When Liz was asked about the kids, she beams and says, "They get along great, but life isn't always as nice and breezy as those early morning walks in the city." Combining 2 big families meant planning for chaos. Even Jon Gosselin, who had been through years of legal battles and mental damage, had a hard time keeping up. The marriage started to fall apart as he had to deal with his IT job, media interviews, and ongoing court cases, while Liz worked full-time and took care of their kids. Simple things turned into organizational nightmares. The dream got less real over time. They broke up after 6 months, not in anger but with a sigh of comfort. It was a good thought, but not now. Even so, Jon did a better job with the end than most. He didn't give up or run away. He moved forward. Instead, he was calmer, slower, and more sure of what he needed this time. Stephanie Lebo then showed up. She was a scientist, sensible, friendly, and surprisingly not interested in his old TV shows. In 2021, they met at a friend's cookout, where there were fireworks and lots of fun. Their friendship grew stronger over the next few years. Stephanie was not bothered by Jon's troubled past, which included his divorce, the custody battle, and the baggage of being in the tabloids. Jon found something he hadn't had in a long time with her: peace. They laughed. It was heard. They made room for each other. Most importantly, they made something special that didn't need a camera crew. Jon finally asked Stephanie to marry him at Willow, on Park in Wyoming, which was her favorite place. Jon Gosselin was just a man in love for once. The food was comfortable, and the lights were dim. He got down on one knee and asked her to marry him. She answered right away, yes. Jon Gosselin was back to being happy after years of being in the news, losing loved ones, and working hard to heal. The words wouldn't be the real test, though. The next part would be the daily things that happened. Jon, who has 8 grown children, and Stephanie, who has 3 of her own, weren't just moving in together. They were putting together pieces of lives that had been shaped by very different pasts. Jon's kids saw their dad fall apart, and then get back together after a messy, public split. Stephanie's kids were getting ready to meet their new dad, whose name used to be linked to a reality TV scandal. They may have thought, what does this new family mean for us? But one thing is for sure. Jon Gosselin no longer wants a show. He wants to be stable. He's not trying to live a fake life for the cameras this time. To make up for lost time with his family, he's making one for everyone at the table. After years in the public eye, Jon Gosselin's children may have written the most interesting part of his story. Where did Jon Gosselin's kids go? Jon's oldest girls, Malene and Cara, are now 24 years old and don't live on reality TV. Malene graduated from Syracuse University, and Cara graduated from Forum and now works at Bank of America. However, their success hasn't led to reunion. The kids have both grown apart from their father. Malene has been very critical of how Jon handles family issues, especially when it comes to their brother Colin. Jon thinks that the fact that his oldest girls are quiet says a lot. Colin, on the other hand, was the only kid who really stood up for Jay. After Kate put him in a mental health center in 2016, Jon stepped in and took him away. Colin has been very open about his problems with his mother since then, and he is very close to his father. Colin's relationship with Jon is one of the few things that has stayed the same in his life. He is now a college student at Penn State and runs a small business on the side. Hannah, one of the 7 twins, also picked Jon. She has lived with him for years, even though she stays close to her brothers who stayed with Kate. Hannah, who is now at the University of Miami, is Jon's attempt to make his broken family into something safe. Their relationship has been one of equal support, which has given Jon a rare sense of connection, even though they live far apart. The other 6 children, Alexis, Aiden, Joel, and Leah, have a weak connection with their father. Since they stayed with Kate, they haven't said much about Jon. Social media posts from time to time hint at getting together with brothers, but Jon isn't there. These kids have stayed away, either because they wanted to or because they had to. Jon, on the other hand, seems to be uncomfortably aware of that hole. At the end of the day, Jon's relationship with his kids is just like the split that shaped his public life. It's broken, messy, and marked by loyal fans and quiet fans. Jon Gosselin right now. This is the start of a new time in Jon Gosselin's life, and putting himself first for the first time in a long time. Jon is finally focused on his health and well-being after years of living under the spotlight because of his very public divorce and the chaos that followed. He recently told everyone that he lost 32 pounds in just 2 months by taking Ozempic, a drug for diabetes. Jon has been thrilled with the results of the semaglutide treatment since he started it in February 2024. He says he feels great and wishes he had started sooner. Jon talked about the years that got him to this point in an honest interview at an event in West Hollywood. He said, "I wish I had done this 10 years ago, knowing that the time wasn't right at that point." He said, "I had a lot going on emotionally," referring to his difficult divorce, the court fights and the pressure of child support drama. He was financially and mentally strapped and didn't have time or money to take care of himself. Life was hard for Jon, and he said, "I just didn't have time for me." But now that those problems are behind him, he is focused on what's most important to him, his health and happiness. He says that the medicine not only helped him lose weight, but it also helped him cut down on drinking and get control of his eating. He also said that it helped him not drink as much and that he could finally make better choices. He's even trying out body shaping and fat-burning treatments to get in shape, but he's quick to say that he doesn't want to have surgery. Suction for lipo? No way, he laughed. I would never get surgery just because I didn't want to. I will work out if I need to. Jon finally admits that the past wasn't easy, even though he has become more dedicated to improving himself. He says he feels bad about how things ended, but he's not letting that define who he is. "I'm excited to be a better person," Jon said, not thinking about the mistakes he had made in the past. He's no longer living for recognition or approval from other people. It wasn't just about making him look different. Jon wanted to make bigger changes. Now that Jon doesn't have to work as much, he has more time on his hands. He didn't worry about the loss. Instead, he used the time to think about what he really wanted to do. Stephanie, his fiancée, saw how talented he was and suggested that he make DJing his full-time job. Jon was interested in this simple idea. He moved into the quiet house after his kids left for college. It was the right place for him to make his next move. He went for it then. Jon jumped right into being a DJ and got jobs in places like Santa Monica, Austin, and Denver. He is back to life thanks to the crowd's speed and excitement. Now he plays every week at the Hollywood Casino in Morgantown. His open-format sets include everything from Motown to classic rock, and he plays for a crowd of people in their 20s to their 90s. He even has a show planned for the opening party of Allentown's brand-new nightclub, America's Nights. He'll be bringing good vibes to a place he hasn't worked in years. Early attempts to make music with DJ Casper didn't go as planned, but now Jon focuses on well-paying jobs that give him the freedom he's always wanted. It's no longer just about the songs either. He likes meeting friends, taking pictures, and talking to real people, which he never had time to do when his life was full of media attention. Jon may have come from a place of close scrutiny and personal trouble, but now he's found his groove in life and in music. Everyone is talking about Jon Gosselin again because of his big change, his renewed focus on health, and his job that is finally in line with what he loves. This time, it's a good reason. What are your thoughts on Jon Gosselin's time in the news and his new life of peace? Tell us what you think in the comments. Thanks for seeing this movie. We'll see you next. time.